Hello! Welcome to Talk Emma Learn English. Here, we learn English by talking, listening, and practicing together.
I'm Emma.
And I'm Jack. We're really happy you're here today. Whether you're listening while walking, relaxing at home, or practicing English on your way to work, welcome to the show.
And before we begin today's episode, we have a small request.
If this podcast helps you improve your English speaking confidence, don't forget to follow the podcast and share it with a friend who is also learning English.
Yes, learning together makes the journey much easier and much more fun.
Let me ask you a quick question before we start the lesson.
All right, I'm ready. I hope it's not a difficult question. Don't worry, it's simple. Have you ever noticed that when beginners speak English, their sentences are usually very short?
Oh, yes, very often. For example, someone might say, I woke up, I ate breakfast, I went to work.
Exactly. The sentences are correct, but they sound a little robotic.
Yes, native speakers usually connect ideas together. For example, after I woke up, I ate breakfast before going to work.
Or even, after I woke up, I ate breakfast before going to work.
And suddenly, the sentence sounds more natural and more fluent.
And this brings us to today's topic. Today we are going to talk about something that helps you build longer, smoother sentences in English.
That thing is called a clause. Now, don't worry about the names too much right now. Let's explain it in a very simple way.
By the end of this episode, you will understand what a clause is, the difference between main clauses and dependent clauses, how clauses help you connect ideas, and how to sound more natural in English conversations.
Let's start with the most basic question. What exactly is a clause?
A clause is simply a group of words that contains a subject and a verb.
That's it. It's actually much simpler than it sounds.
I eat pizza. Subject, I. Verb, eat. That is a clause.
Here's another example. She likes coffee. Subject, she. Verb, likes. Again, that's a clause.
So every time you have a subject and a verb together, you usually have a clause.
Now here's where things get interesting. There are two main types of clauses in English.
The first one is called an independent clause.
And the second one is called a dependent clause.
Don't worry about the names too much right now. Let's explain them with simple examples.
An independent clause is a clause that can stand alone as a complete sentence.
In other words, it already makes sense by itself. I am hungry. That is a full sentence.
Another example, she is watching TV. Again, a complete idea.
Let's make a quick example together. I'll say a sentence and you tell me if it's complete.
All right.
I need coffee.
Definitely complete, and honestly, very relatable.
Same here. Here's another one. The movie was amazing.
That's also a complete sentence.
Exactly. Both of these are independent clauses.
Now let's talk about the second type. A dependent clause cannot stand alone.
It needs another clause to complete the idea. Because I was tired.
If someone says only that sentence, you will probably wait for more information because you'll think, because you were tired, what happened?
Exactly. The sentence feels incomplete. Although it was raining.
Again, we expect more information.
To complete the idea, we add an independent clause. For example, although it was raining, we went for a walk.
Now the sentence is complete.
Let's make a small story. Yesterday, I wanted to go running, but the weather was terrible. So I said, although it was raining, I went for a run.
That shows determination. I would probably say, because it was raining, I stayed home and watched movies.
Both are very realistic reactions.
And this is the power of clauses. They allow us to connect ideas smoothly.
Instead of saying, it was raining, I went out, we can say, although it was raining, I went out.
The second sentence sounds more natural.
Many dependent clauses begin with words like because, although, when, while, if, before, after.
These words help connect ideas. Because I was tired, I went to bed early. While I was cooking, my phone rang. When the movie started, everyone became quiet.
Let's do a quick practice. I'll start a sentence and Jack will finish it.
All right.
Because I was hungry.
I ordered a large pizza.
Good answer. Here's another one. While I was studying.
My dog fell asleep next to me.
That sounds peaceful.
It was.
Clauses are important because they help you speak longer sentences, connect ideas clearly, and sound more natural.
Without clauses, English can sound very simple. For example, I woke up, I drank coffee, I started work.
But with clauses, we can say, after I woke up, I drank coffee before starting work.
See how much smoother that sounds?
But we're not finished yet, because clauses have many interesting uses.
So we learned the basic idea of clauses. A clause is simply a group of words with a subject and a verb.
Exactly. And we also talked about two important types: independent clauses, which can stand alone as a full sentence, and dependent clauses, which need another clause to complete the meaning.
Right. For example, I was tired. That's a complete sentence. It's an independent clause.
But if we say, because I was tired, that feels incomplete.
Exactly. Your brain immediately expects more information. You start thinking, because you were tired, what happened?
And once we add another clause, the idea becomes complete. Because I was tired, I went to bed early.
Now the sentence feels complete and natural.
Before we continue, let's talk about why clauses matter so much in English.
Yes, because this is something that separates basic English from more fluent English.
When beginners speak English, they often use many short sentences. For example, I woke up, I finished work, I went home.
But native speakers usually connect these ideas. For example, after I finished work, I went home because I was tired.
See the difference? The second version sounds smoother and more natural.
Let's imagine a simple situation. You want to describe your morning. You could say, I woke up, I drank coffee, I checked my emails.
But using clauses, you can say, after I woke up, I drank coffee while checking my emails.
Now the sentence sounds much fluent.
Now let's talk about three important types of clauses that English learners often hear about. They are noun clauses, adjective clauses, and adverb clauses.
Now, those names might sound complicated, but don't worry. We'll explain them in a very simple way.
Let's start with noun clauses. A noun clause works like a noun inside a sentence.
In other words, it can act as a subject or object. I know that she is busy. The clause is that she is busy.
This entire clause acts like a thing that the speaker knows. I believe that this movie is great.
Here the clause is that this movie is great.
Let me ask you something. What do you think about learning languages?
I believe that learning languages opens many doors.
That sentence contains a noun clause.
Exactly. The clause is that learning languages opens many doors.
Here's another sentence. I don't know where my keys are.
The clause here is where my keys are.
Again, it works like a noun.
Now let's move to the second type, adjective clauses.
An adjective clause gives extra information about a noun. It describes something. I met a woman who speaks 5 languages.
The clause is who speaks 5 languages.
And it describes the noun woman. The book that I bought yesterday is very interesting. Clause, that I bought yesterday.
Do you remember your favorite teacher from school?
Yes, I do. He was a teacher who made learning fun.
That's a perfect adjective clause. Exactly. Who made learning fun describes the teacher.
Here's one more. I watched a movie that made me laugh a lot.
Again, the clause that made me laugh a lot describes the movie.
Now let's look at the third type, adverb clauses.
Adverb clauses give information about time, reason, condition, or contrast. They usually begin with words like because, when, if, while, although, after, before.
Example 1. Because I was tired, I went to bed early.
Example 2. While I was cooking, the phone rang.
Example 3. If it rains tomorrow, we will stay home.
Let's tell a short story using clauses.
All right. Yesterday, I planned to go jogging.
But when you woke up, something unexpected happened.
Yes. When I looked outside, I saw heavy rain.
So what did you do?
Because it was raining, I decided to stay home.
Meanwhile, I went running even though it was raining.
That shows dedication, or maybe just a love for running.
Clauses are very powerful when you tell stories.
Yes, because they help connect events clearly. For example, I went to the store, I met my friend, we had coffee.
Now let's connect those ideas. When I went to the store, I met my friend who invited me for coffee.
See how much smoother that sounds?
Many learners make a simple mistake when using clauses. They sometimes forget that a dependent clause cannot stand alone. For example, because I was tired.
That is incomplete. It must connect to another clause. Because I was tired, I went to sleep.
Sometimes learners make sentences that are too long. They connect too many clauses together.
For example, because I was tired and because I worked a lot and because the weather was bad.
At some point, the listener becomes confused.
So it's important to keep sentences clear.
Let's practice together. I'll start a sentence and you'll complete it.
All right. After I finished work.
I met a friend who wanted to try a new restaurant.
Nice one. Here's another. Although it was late.
I continued watching the movie.
Good. Now one more. If I have free time this weekend.
I will visit a park that I discovered recently.
Clauses are one of the biggest keys to sounding more fluent in English.
Because they allow you to express complex ideas clearly.
Without clauses, speech can sound very basic. For example, I like books. The books are interesting.
But with clauses, you can say, I like books that are interesting.
Much smoother.
Let's quickly review what we learned. A clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb.
There are basically two types. Independent clauses, complete sentences. Dependent clauses, need another clause.
We also looked at 3 common clause types. Noun clauses act like nouns. Example, I know that she is busy.
Adjective clauses describe nouns. Example, the man who lives next door is friendly.
Adverb clauses explain time, reason, or condition. Example, because I was tired, I slept early.
The more you practice using clauses, the easier it becomes to speak in longer and more natural sentences.
So the next time you speak English, try connecting your ideas. Instead of saying, I was tired, I slept early, try saying, because I was tired, I slept early.
Small changes like that make a big difference in fluency.
And practice is key.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of The English Podcast.
Keep practicing, keep speaking, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.